Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to welcome to the programme Myra, and I'm going to try and say Myra's last name because it's a doozy. It's a good one. Hang on, I've got it written down here. Azzopardi. I'm sorry if I got it wrong.
Exactly as it's pronounced. I am British with a Italian surname.
You are part of CAB. You're one of the senior advisors. If I'm right, you're a paralegal. Is that correct?
I'm a qualified and registered paralegal, because you can't be regulated in most ways. So I'm registered in London and now with New York.
Right. Now, the thing I want to talk to you about is residence in Spain. Everybody here has been reading stuff on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and they're all saying different things. But I guess you are one of the people who may have a little bit more of an insight into the actual situation for people who maybe are resident, aren't resident, have got property, haven't got property. What's the situation?
Yes. As you probably saw from one of the something I posted about residing here lawfully, and then everybody jumping in. The trouble that's what happened, I think CAB is to blame a little bit. We've informed people for 7 years now. We've given information that nobody else gives. So everybody now has become an expert.
Yep.
But they're not, I'm afraid. You know, everybody should stick to what they know best. Otherwise, you're a sort of, a jack of all trades and master at none. So it's very difficult now, especially since the end of the transition period. And now those that have thought they had to leave by the 1st of April Fool's Day of all things, it's very difficult to get a message across without people jumping on the bandwagon, either because they're angry that anybody should have lived here without residency papers, or whatever other motives, or because they think now it's all right to try and read a withdrawal agreement. It's all right to read a European directive. That's not enough. You have to understand how to interpret laws and how to read them correctly. And this is a problem. So I can quote you something about documentation, very simple little, from the withdrawal agreement. Shall I do that?
Yes, please, yes.
Okay. It says, possession of a residence document is not a prerequisite for lawful residence in accordance with union law. Because under union law, the right of residence is conferred directly on the EU citizen by the treaty and is not dependent upon having fulfilled administrative procedures.
Right.
Now, I was told that was an oxymoron and I should check the dictionary for oxymoron, as if, I needed to. I think that was the straight you came on. And, of course, it is totally correct. Yes, it's advisable to have a residency certificate, but it's not a prerequisite.
But I thought that only applied if you were an EU citizen. But since Britain is no longer part of the EU, does that still apply?
But you see, all those protected under the withdrawal agreement moved here under the Freedom of Movement Directive, which is an EU directive. They lose EU status, but all through the transition period, and still now, they were covered, not now, but they were covered by union law. So therefore, if they were in certain situations, doesn't mean residing lawfully, you could just come here and just be on the road with no money, no health care. No, that's not residing lawfully. You have to meet the requisites under the article in the freedom of movement. And basically, very simply, you had to be a worker, or self-employed, working for a company. If you were self-sufficient or a pensioner, you would need to have health care and sufficient funds. Students would be covered. So that is the criteria. Then, if you meet those requisites, you are residing lawfully.
Right, okay.
The next step, of course, is advisable to get, but even, as I showed a lawyer yesterday, there is nothing in the resolution, the Spanish resolution, that says that you still have to have a residency document. But I'm not advising people not to have one. I'm just a stickler on the law, because I always think if we have to abide by the law, so should the lawmakers and the law enforcers abide by the law, and certainly so should Extranjería and all the Foreigners Office, and I'm afraid they're not.
Right, okay. I get into this situation where people say to me, oh, well, look, my mate said to me that I don't need a residency because I've got a house here. That's not true.
That's not quite. You see, without that, Spain sort of suggests and tells you that they would like you to register. When you were when you were EU, you registered. You didn't actually need a residency permission. That's why we had the green certificates. They weren't a card, because luckily for EU citizens, they didn't have to actually ask for a residency permission. They just had to register. And that's why those green certificates and the small ones are registration certificates, but they give you residency. Not only that, wandering around in Spain, especially as a UK national now, going to have a lot of problems if you don't have some kind of documentation to show that you are residing here. So though I'm reading facts, I'm also advising everybody to get a residency, get the TIE if they haven't already got it.
Okay.
Not those who have the green residency certificate. That's voluntary. They can update for the TIE or they don't have to. That's other things. People are also, and professionals, I had to post yesterday about companies, some lawyers who are actually doing two things. I was talking about the residency, telling people they must update their residency certificate and by a certain date. It's absolute rubbish. It's not the case.
Ah, right. Now, I'd heard that because I've got the little green card.
Yeah.
And I was told, oh, no, you've got to update that by such and such, I can't remember what it was now, to a full TIE.
Was that by an expert?
Yes.
A residency expert, no doubt. Well, absolutely not true. Do you know, I don't laugh anymore. I'm laughing now. If I wasn't under so much pressure helping and answering hundreds of emails and on the Ask for Advice, I may laugh, but because I don't stop, I don't find it funny that we have so many experts who are given incorrect information. It causes heartache, it causes pressure. People are so stressed. Especially remember when we talked, they were, it started from apparently a newspaper here, then the UK press picked up that everybody was being exported.
That's right.
Exported, expelled.
Deported, yes. No, I know what you mean.
That's not true.
I've got some friends who live here who were in the process of getting their residence here. And they, once again, they ask you because you're on the radio, you know everything.
Of course you do.
They said to me, do you think we're going to get deported before we get our TIEs? And I was going, well, no, you've made the application. Surely that's okay.
Exactly. And even so, you have to pick up with all the little bits in different directives or resolutions or royal decrees or withdrawal agreement that actually you will find that it's not, even if you're not successful, you can't immediately be thrown out. Doesn't mean that the immigration officers are aware of that. It's rather shocking, but it's always been the way here, that if you're a civil servant in Spain and you work in certain fields, you get instructions about how you should do residency, and it seems a lot of civil servants don't even read those instructions. They all talk amongst themselves, it seems, and they'll go, yeah, we'll do it this way or that way, and they go along with it to a certain extent. But the meeting with the lawyer yesterday was for confirmation that what I'm saying, what I spoke with the embassy, one of the consuls, and also with the European Commission, saying Spain is not abiding, it's not doing its residency under the withdrawal agreement. And it was good to hear yesterday. I think I know a lot, but I found out yesterday withdrawal agreement is international. It overrides all the other resolutions, everything. It overrides everything. So it's the withdrawal agreement. We must go on. And that's what I was doing. I had been checking the withdrawal agreement and cross-referencing with everything, and I thought there are anomalies here. Things are not right. So I do that because not only as a paralegal, we tend to sort of read laws because I need to help people. And I can't help people by just using newspaper headings, God forbid, or anything else. I must go to all the laws and I must cross-reference. I can't even rely on the withdrawal agreement. I have to then read the guidance notes and then I have to cross-reference that where it mentions the directive so I know how I can help people. And that's what I've been doing. And we intend to do very much. I've had a call from somebody today who's lived here for 20 years. Everybody has their reasons for not having done residency, and whatever reason, we're CAB, we're not here to judge, we're here to assist and help people.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Now, some friends of mine went to Scotland before, for Christmas. They went, sort of beginning of December, spent December in Scotland, had a lovely time, then decided it's about time we went back home to our lovely house in Callahonda, and they can't come back because they haven't got residency.
They're not residents.
No.
There's two things going on here. One is that the UK government on their website have given reasons why you can travel abroad. So they've put, you can, if if you're purchasing it, blah, blah, blah. What a lot of people do not realise is, just like the UK is sovereign and always has been, so is Spain. So whatever the UK government puts on a website does not mean that UK is not telling you can go to Spain and do all these things. It's telling you the reasons you can leave the UK and go abroad. But people take that. So some people think, oh, well, British government has said that we can go into Spain. No, Spain has its own government. It's very important to realise that. And they make the rules. And it's also an EU member state. So at the moment, you can't enter from any third countries unless it's listed as there's an exemption. If the UK had certain figures with COVID, all that, there would be an exemption. At the moment, you can only come in if you are residents. This couple you mentioned, or these people, if they didn't take out their residency, of course it does say in the withdrawal agreement as well that you don't have to be in Spain to be at the time of the end of the transition period, 31st of December, 1st of January, you didn't have to be in Spain to avail from the rights of the withdrawal agreement.
Right.
I can suggest maybe this couple would like to start their residency application if they meet the requirements. They were residing here lawfully before they left to go to Scotland. They may wish to start proceedings even from Scotland.
Yeah, this was one of those things where he was told by a friend of his that he didn't need to have residencia because he got a house here, like I was saying at the beginning.
Oh.
And,
you see, again, even if COVID hadn't happened, that's what's stopping a lot of that's what's causing restriction of movement. Even if that wasn't the case, as a UK national, since the 1st of April, the authorities will probably and have the right to stamp your passport. So now there's obvious record of movements. Of movement for UK nationals. So before, as an EU citizen, they could come and go, we could come and go. Nobody was checking, because you're always supposed to actually register to reside here.
Yeah.
Once 3 months were up, but nobody was looking, but now they are. That's the difference. So a lot of misinformation out there, unfortunately, as what's happened with these people. They may be residents, they may even be permanent residents, which is something else yet again. But with that, from what you said, I can't say that, and the problem is getting in.
Yes, that's the whole problem.
And of course, that's by maritime air. It's air and sea. Over land, it didn't apply, so people have gone in overland with their PCR tests, etc., or equivalent of.
Yep, that's another way in, I suppose. This kind of information, to be correct, you've got to go to people who, for the want of a better word, know, and who are involved.
Yes.
CAB...
You need to have, it seems, if I had somebody out there that does what I do, I'd love them to help us, because we're really short of volunteers, especially as advisors. We started with 3. We've got literally me at the moment, and that's Spain and the islands. It's not possible for me to sustain that. It's not possible for me to continue as I am. So if there was anybody really out there that were experts and had time to volunteer, I'd really appreciate it. You also have, there's the other thing, I think, Lee, that's really important, is the fact that the most important thing when submitting an application for residency is to get everything right. A lot of rejections, and I have the letter sometimes because extranjería are wrong, believe it or not, and I can say that. Usually because the application is not submitted correctly. Now, I've had to say again, if somebody's not a residency lawyer or does not keep up to date with the withdrawal agreement, UK nationals, companies, lawyers, businesses are putting in applications that are doomed to fail. I get the rejection letter and I say, but, I would have told you that would have been rejected. People are being allowed to put in an application with healthcare dated from post-transition period, from any time after the end of 31st of December. That means you were living here not lawfully, illegally basically, because you didn't have healthcare. And you got healthcare in January, February, March. No point putting in the application. You're going to be refused on those grounds. So there's people spending money with companies or with whoever who are actually having their application submitted just as if it's just doesn't matter, just a chain. We'll just put that in. It doesn't matter that you don't meet the requirements, but you pay and your application will be submitted. What a shame and what a waste of money.
It's a crime, isn't it, really?
It's not right. It's just not right. So if people want to jump on the bandwagon to actually deal with residency, please have the decency to have knowledge of the withdrawal agreement, of the resolution, of the freedom of movement. Please do some homework. It's all we ask. Because it's me they come to, it's CAB they come to, and our team of volunteers. I've got so many rejection letters.
If somebody is listening to this now and they want to do a residencia, could they contact you? Could they go to your website?
Yes, they can. They can contact us via the website. The phones are only on for certain hours because you can imagine there's too much to be done. As team's too small. Yes, they can, in fact, contact me even before they make their application, because correct documentation is needed. The same that I'm now getting requests from those here in Spain, not lawfully resident before the end of the year. I'm in Spain, can I apply for residency as a UK national? No, you must do it from the UK now.
Oh,
and it's very complicated. Also, deadline. Everybody's saying, or people are saying, you must do it by June. Well, you see, there's two systems. When there was an agreement on the withdrawal, each EU member state had the right to choose either a declaratory system or a constitutive system. If it was constitutive, very complicated, you had to apply, like in the UK, EU citizens have to apply for a new residency status. Spain luckily chose a declaratory system. But people are not reading that. They're actually mixing the two systems up because they're legal beagles and they're not, and they don't know what they're reading, and they're telling people you must have your application in by June. I think they're saying 31st, and I think as one of our colleagues mentioned today on our website, on our group, 31st does not. It's not a 31st anyway, but by June. Well, that's wrong. I have checked all the different laws for what, call it anything else. There is no deadline. In the Spanish resolution, they say that those who lived here before the end of the transition period and even before July 6th, when they put out the resolution, July 2nd, but it was mentioned July the 6th, would be able to go to Extranjería and make an application for residency, telling them they could do so from July 6th, 2020. There is no date there saying, but you must do it by such a date. And then secondly, it says all those that are entitled to come in after the transition period, such as family members, children, dependent children who are still protected, must make their application within 3 months. To me, that's quite clear. One group must make the application within 3 months, and the other group, it says nothing. Therefore, if it says nothing, there is no deadline.
What is the email address? What's the way of getting in touch with you? What's the website?
The best way for anybody to find us is just Google Citizens Advice Spain, and we will come up.
Citizens Advice Spain.
Spain. You don't even have to put Bureau, just Citizens Advice Spain. And check the website. There's a Brexit link there, if you go to the various links, where I personally have written over 5 years now on Brexit. contradicting when necessary, because that's what I'm like. I'm there to find facts. When the UK was saying, oh, we're going to have this constitutive system, you have to apply for settled status, and I was writing, well, that doesn't help us in Spain. We already have our status. You know, it made sense to think no. And luckily, Spain didn't listen to me, I'm sure, but chose a declaratory system, which makes it a lot easier for those that are lawfully residing here. So I think people out there, now all those others, if I can just say quickly, because probably time's up, who cannot show certain documentation they need, but have lived here for 5 years or more, they're permanent residents, even without any paperwork. They should contact us, because I have been putting forward something to help them and brought it up with a lawyer again. I just wish that lawyers would actually know what I know. But anyway, it just gives me a bit more work. So anybody who's been living here for over 5 years, try not to fret. Everybody try not to worry, because people are absolutely at their wits' end.
Yeah. And
I'm not into a blame game. It's wrong to blame. We're here to help for whatever the reason. So anybody who's a permanent resident, by that I mean they've lived in Spain at some stage lawfully for more than 5 years. Those that haven't lived lawfully, those that are totally illegal, do also contact us, because we have plans for you. I've had something up my sleeve for those people since I knew that we were going to, since the referendum the result was to leave.
Okay. Myra, I must say thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the information you've given. I know that it will help an awful lot of people. And yes, I hope people do get in touch with you. I know it means a lot more work for you, but I hope they do. And I hope they do sort these things out.
Lee, thank you very much for allowing those people to have the opportunity to listen to some facts, not all the facts, but some of them. And hopefully we can help everybody. And that includes those about to come over from the UK, those stuck in the UK, and those here. One thing is, everything we do is in confidence. We belong to both data protection for the EU, GDPR, and Spain. We're registered. The small team have to sign confidentiality agreements. Anything that's discussed with us is not taken but certainly we might use examples, but no names, nothing that can point at anybody.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lee.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.